investing, it has gone through just a lot of misery in these past couple of years. I would say it's been changing. If you listen carefully to the gurus out there, you hear them start talking about, making a little bit of money. Now, before it was, this is great, you'll make a lot of money. Now, it's, at least you make a little bit of money. Now the strategies they're giving you and that they're talking about on their videos and social media is about at least you get a little bit of money. That's the problem, folks, because again, you know what they did? They killed the market. They started training everybody and their cousin in flipping houses and wholesaling and all of that. Now, there's not enough inventory. Now, everybody got the property. Some semi-trailers going right past by full speed. Well, they got the properties now. Now they're selling ridiculous cheap properties for a high amount of money. Because, now everybody got smart all of a sudden. So now you can't make the bucks anymore. Now it's a little bit of money. They killed their own business. It's ridiculous. But luckily for you, as the creator of the Extreme Real Estate Investing Workshop, my extreme strategies have not been touched. Okay? And you can forget about making a little bit of money with my strategies. So if you're interested in really making big money in real estate investing, and you can be a seasoned pro, I welcome you, come on in. Or a complete newbie, you're going to make a lot of money with my strategies. So check us out. Check out the workshop. Here's the information you need. Hello everyone and welcome. Let's get started. We're starting our streaming day. God bless you everyone. Welcome to our program today. We're just getting started. We are focused still. We're doing our daily foci in different topic areas, and still developing more content and organizing our resources. Every day we do this, and every day we do it, there's new things I create, and new content that I'm creating. So make sure you tune in, even though you haven't seen all the things that I talk about, and especially in some of the business topics that we cover. There are definitely new offers that I'm releasing day to day. So you want to be listening in and take advantage of anything like that. So so take a listen, take your free time while you're doing something else in the house or in your office, downtime, and listen in and see, if you can pick up a few tidbits of wonderful strategies, and or avail yourself of one of our fantastic offers. I want to do a sound check, which I haven't. I'm sorry about that. Let me just pump up some of the volume. sound test on this a little. Well, I can do this easily. One moment. Sorry about that. It's just that we're still dealing with this new mic here. When you get these type of mics, you have to understand that it's too low. It doesn't have good volume. I had to bring in an equalizer into the studio PC here just to pump it up. I've reduced it from yesterday just to see, but I need to see if, because there seems to be something happen. I don't know if it's I think it was an update. It's always these updates, folks, they just screw with your machines. And since that update, I've had a sound issue. Yes, I can see that the sound is very low. So I'm sorry about that. Let me just give myself some a little pump here in sound, and let's see if that fixes that at any degree. In either case, take a listen in today what we're doing. I'm going to go and cover some news. You'll probably hear a doubling in a moment when the sound pops higher into what my monitor here right now. And if that occurs, yeah, I mean, it's a little better. It's a little better, but it's not as high as I would like it. So I'm going to pump it up again, another 10 here. Testing 1, 2, 3. And so that's probably be the way I'm going to leave it. And another thing I didn't do this morning while I was setting up was to set up the chat. So I'm going to do that now. Sorry about this technical stuff, folks. It's just it's just one thing or another, and you just have to get everything. We need to get. Okay, so let me just reduce that. All right, I hear you. All right, folks. So sorry about that. All right, so I got the chat room open. I'm live right now. I'll be here for a few moments, actually. We're going to do a live program right now. I'm going to do some early news. And we're going to talk about a new real estate investment opportunity for you guys. So stay tuned for that. We're going to do that after I do a little bit of the news this morning, a little bit of the news. And we'll cover some what the effect of it would be for real estate investors. We try to tie it into real estate. And then after I do that, I'll go into our schedule lineup of real estate programming. We also have new offers on the table. I'm going to discuss one of them after we do some of the news this morning. So what we have in terms of news this morning, generally in the United States, is about Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, which most of the people I hang with knew about from beforehand. We've been talking about this for quite some time. The mainstream media, I mean, I hope some of you guys are noticing, if you're not listening to certain news channels, and let's just put it this way, if this Hunter Biden issue is news to you of yesterday, today, and you didn't know about this like last month or the month before, that is the proof. I want you guys to understand this. That is the proof that the news media that you listen to isn't reporting the news. They're filtering what you're hearing. And when you have other people filtering what you hear, that is called mind manipulation, because they're actually controlling what you are learning about, and also what you can, and that how you're developing cognitively your brain, educationally, your development of knowledge and understanding of your environment, they are controlling that. So you have to understand. See, if you don't notice this now, you're really deep trouble. Okay, to not to say the other stuff. Okay, because it shows that they have control of your life, of your brain. They control your brain, the way you think, then they control you. So it's just as simple. This has nothing to do with being Republican, being Democrat. This is just as simple as you don't know about it until now, until after the election. So again, not that it should have mattered to you, frankly. It's a guy's kid. I have adopted children, and simply, I can't be held responsible for someone else's gene pool. You understand that? So, I understand, and even if it's your own genes involved, I mean, if the kids, develop a mind of their own, and even though you instruct them and you guide them, as far as that, you can just go so far. And especially now, well, in my case, I don't have to talk to defend in my case, because my case is it's ironclad. But the thing is this, even though the issues of this kid, and let's give Biden, I'm going to give Biden, you know what? I'm giving Biden the way out. Okay? So tag Biden into this broadcast, okay? Tell President-elect, if that's what he is, tie him into this broadcast so that he can get an idea. I'm going to give him an idea of how to handle this Hunter Biden thing. And that is this. I think he's already said how Hunter had issues with drug abuse in his past. And all Mr. Biden has to do is simply state that, hey, my son was losing his life to drug use. He had no purpose and no direction in his life. And I've done like any other father would do, and that is try to provide a way, a means to occupy him, to make him see there's bigger and a brighter future for him outside of drug use and abuse. And that's what I did. I tried to help my son and save my son from destroying himself. And he's still around. He's still here today because he's found purpose. He's found a place in life. And I would want to think I had a lot to do with that, and I'm proud of that, and I stand by him. If it wasn't for what I helped him with and availed myself, for him to climb up and stand up in this society, you know what? He would have been a drug addict. He would have been a destroyed individual. But now he is a man. He's a man. So we're going to go through this, and I'll stand by my son. Basically, that's all he needs to do. And any father would respect that. That is very respectable. It is commendable. I know even the far left would go crazy about that, and in a good way, and defend Biden for taking that posit and defending his son in that way. Even I would defend it. I gave the suggestion, because we're not hearing. Listen, we have to hear truth. Because people, I mean, people, you need to understand that truth should not be criticized. When you hear someone say the truth, give you their opinion or their view, their perspective, don't criticize it. Stop criticizing. Applaud that they have the guts to say it like it is. And that's that. But and I would be, I'm not a Biden supporter in no way, but I would support Biden. Look at this. I would support him in all ways and manner in regards to his coming forward and defending his son and defending his son's use, or his use of him, and his Biden's putting himself at his son's disposition in order to get his life together. That is admirable, totally admirable. And you know what? Shame on anyone for poo-pooing that and for trying to use that against Biden politically in any way, shape, or form. And I think that anyone who tries to use that against Biden in any way, shape, or form should be held out for that. And that's the person that you need to attack. Absolutely. So even I would do that, because I think I value highly a father helping their child, get out. Come on now. Drug abuse is horrible. It's terrible. And to have a child in drugs and losing themselves because they don't know what else to do, or haven't grasped something significant in their lives yet. I think it's admirable, and it's something that Biden could offer his child, his son, and he did so. And in my opinion, he should come out and say he did so. And even if he didn't, even if he didn't do that, he should come out and defend his son, period. And I think we all should have this understanding that, we are going to defend our kids and our children, especially from that scourge of drugs. If it wasn't for that, let him fry. He made a stupid mistake. He's dumb. He didn't learn from all the teaching I gave him as a kid. That is okay. He's responsible. But this issue with his former drug use and abuse, because I don't know what he's doing now, but I'm just saying, giving him something to do, having him have a phone call to make and actually do something, put people together, and making money and feeling self-worth, even at his father's sake or expense. It's something other than taking drugs. You understand? I think Biden is well within his right to do whatever to help his son. Okay? So, and even like I said, even if he didn't do it for that reason, he should come out and do it now. Just simple as that. You fix the void. Because I think that is admirable at any moment. And I think right now Biden would best be served by coming out in defense of Hunter Biden in this fashion. If he's the man or the president, the hopeful president, that leader that this country needs, then let him show it now. Let him be the leader and the father first of his son. Because even the Bible tells the pastors that they have to bring up their families in the Lord, in church. If you can't rule your house, how are you going to rule the house of God? How are you going to rule, over the body of Christ in your congregation? So again, same thing here. So I figure, and I really recommend that Biden, he's defended his son before, but now in this particular moment and in this particular fashion. Let's see that Biden of yesteryear and really stand by Hunter and be willing to go down with him. Not that not that anyone should make Biden go down for this. Okay, so it's a really sad country if we take Biden down because of this, because of his standing with his son. Now, if he doesn't do that, he stands apart, then Biden can be taken down, so then because he's not doing the right thing, and so all it does is it makes him look like he's in on something, funny here, some funny business going on here. Okay, so that's all. I think that should be very clear in this matter. All right, so that's about that. We have the stimulus talks drag out without Pelosi, as McConnell and jobless numbers rise. Again, with the rising COVID, these things are nonsense. They're called nonsense headlines, because if you have states shutting down things, why are you talking about jobless numbers? Where is that a fact? I guess you want to blame that on President Trump as well. You understand? You can't have it both ways. We have President Trump wants everyone to go to work. So don't talk about jobless numbers and don't talk about against Trump while using jobless numbers, because that's not Trump's doing. At all. One moment, please. Yeah, I just accidentally. We're still organizing things here in the studio. Okay, yeah. So everything went blank here because the cables. I'm still adjusting cables and things. All right. We have another news. Let's go into the show you that. Can I do that? Yeah, display captures right here. Of course I can do that. Oh my. Supposed to be able to do that. Let's show you what's on the news here. Alrighty, and we have live cam here. We have video capture, but I don't have it here. Why is that? So I'll have to add that display capture, and that's called display capture. So okay, and that's okay. So we got it. Good. Alrighty. So, and here's the news on Google News, as you can see. So we have this, that was the stimulus talks. COVID relief takes hit, another wall, as Congress runs short of time to send help. I mean, everyone's making their political moves in this and trying to get whatever they can get for their constituents. What are we going to say? I guess we can only hope that all of y'all get some check, another check, right? Now, what did you do with the last check? Pray tell. That's what I want to know. I want to know what you guys did with the previous check. Okay? What do you do with the previous check? Because if you didn't get real estate, because what's the theme for today, Thursday. If you didn't go and get some real estate, you wasted a lot of money. Right now, even I told you guys about this before. With the $600, even if you had $600, you could have gotten back then two real estate deals at the highest, at the worst scenario, which means you're paying a lot as opposed to other deals you could have gotten for cheaper even. But with the $600, you could have gotten at least two deals at spending more than you needed to. And each one of those would have garnered you about $60,000 if you had known what I know. And with that $60,000, you would be able to do it again using your $60,000, and you do it again, and you would have been a millionaire today. Okay, that was back then. That was when the stimulus checks we were back almost in the same period of time. Matter of fact, it wasn't the same period of time. It was in February, March. Okay, so right now we're already early for 2021, and they're still talking about stimulus checks. Okay, this is an opportunity, and I want to make sure you guys realize that you guys are wasting your life and money. This is free money. Free money you paid into your taxes, but a lot of you got free money. You know what I'm talking about. So this is money. This is the worst thing you can do with this money is spend it on anything but real estate. This is your chance to get into real estate. So you need to understand that. I'm going to start recording this. This is important stuff. So earlier this year, in fact, February, March, they were talking about the stimulus. They were going to send the stimulus, and people got between $600 and $2,400 or more in the stimulus check. And what did you do with it? You could have been a millionaire if you had taken my advice then. Now, today, the headlines read that there's another stimulus check that they're discussing that may happen. And what are you going to do with that? You see? Are you a million? I want to ask you, did the last stimulus check make you a millionaire? Are you a millionaire now? That's what I want to ask you. See? Because if you are not a millionaire now, it means that you didn't take my advice. And it also means that you didn't do the right things, plain and simple. Do not allow another stimulus check to come into your hands, into your mailbox, and you not put it into real estate. Don't do that. Don't think that your $600 is not enough. It is more than enough. More than enough. And the issue is that you have to realize that the stimulus check is money that you don't have today. You don't have that money today, and right now you don't have a right to be even planning on that money to spend it on whatever. But if you do get that money, you have to understand that you should treat that money as money you don't have. Period. You don't start making plans with it, except for this. This real estate is the most important thing you can do with that money. First of all, when you put that money into real estate, you are getting an asset. You're not getting something that's going to lose value over time. You're getting something that's going to increase in value over time. Simple. You can just sit on it. It will increase in value over time, period. But if you use that money within our program, using my strategies, you can turn that money into 100 times over on the first deal. And then you take that money that you make, again, you can make up to $60,000 from the first deal. And from there, you can go do it again, but now you have all that money, so you can do it like 10 times over, right? and then you can make $600,000, right, or more, into the $1 million mark, which is what I was teaching. At with the 600, like I say, there's two. You double it, so it's actually you'll be making $1,200,000 from those two deals at the highest setting. In other words, at the greatest investment amount that you need. In other words, how much money you had to go to get the property. So again, it makes no sense that you get $600 from the government and you do not come out with $60,000. I mean, what is better, $600 pay your bills, or $600 that brings in $60,000 to $120,000? Well, I mean, which one would you rather do? You got to think here, ladies and gentlemen. You have to think and really be thinking here. Now, what I'm talking about is not putting your money into my program even. I'm not telling you to take that money and give it to me, for example. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm going to help you take that money, and you are the one that's going to have possession of the property, and you're going to be the one marketing that, reselling that, and making that money. This is money that you're going to have control over. So this is just as simple as I'm going to guide you. See, because without my ideas, you can't do it. You won't be able to. No one can do it without the strategies that I have. See? So it's simple. It's a simple process of implementing my strategy, because no one else can give you the strategy, and then profiting, and then doing it again. And that'll bring you into the 7-figure area within a year. This can be done within a year. And that's really good. It takes real estate investors at least 5 to 7 years at least to even get to a, within the $1 million area. If they started small and they started flipping, and I'm talking about a few months here. All right. So again, the stimulus talks, they're still dragging out, but if it happens, this is time for you to start thinking real estate, really, not even crypto, because this crypto, the time is past for Bitcoin, meaning for you to get into Bitcoin. No matter what, it doesn't matter if Bitcoin goes to 100,000. Realize that for Bitcoin now, if you brought Bitcoin, you brought $20 of Bitcoin, let's just say, and it goes up to $100,000. You say, wow, right? But you only make $100. That's, hey, listen, I've already showed you how you can make $1 million this year in real estate. I've told you that. This is, again, another repeat from earlier this year, from the first stimulus check. Look at it this way. Even with the $600, you buy $600 worth of Bitcoin, and let's just say that it won't happen. It won't happen. There's always a possibility it could, but realistically, come on. That Bitcoin goes up to $100,000 this year. That's really a long shot. There ain't nobody even imagining that it can go up to $100,000 this year. Okay? Normally, no. It's going up to 20. I don't know if it did hit 20, but in any case, now it's down to 18 or going down to 17. Now it's on its way down, right? It went up and then now it's going down. Roller coaster ride. So for it to reach $100,000, come on, all right. So like I said, so for that $600 that you invest today, if you were going to invest it in crypto, in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes up to 100,000, let's say some fantasy world this year, that would mean that it went up. Let's say you say it hit the 20, and then it went up to 100,000. You brought it at you brought $600 worth. Again, it's only 5 times, so that means only $3,000. So you have to understand that. And if Bitcoin goes up to $1 million this year, right? You earn $30,000 on your $600 investment. See that? That's if and when Bitcoin hits $1 million. Why are you going to spend money on Bitcoin whenever it's going to hit $1 million when you can take the $600 and become a millionaire this year? Forget about when Bitcoin finally reaches $1 million. Like all these other people are waiting for Bitcoin to hit $1 million. It's like, okay, when you can hit $1 million yourself this year in real estate. I mean, in 2021 now, within the next 12 months. You don't have to wait for Bitcoin to explode to 100,000 or to $1 million. That would take a number of years, and you know that. This year, 2021, you can be a millionaire with the stimulus check. So I want you guys to start using your noodle. All right? Start using your noodle. Now, you won't be able to do it without my ideas, without my instruction. You won't be able to do it not within a year. But in any case, if you don't want to go by my instruction, you can invest it in real estate. It takes you 5, 7 years, 10 years. Doesn't matter. You know that? So, I mean, that's my point. Now, if you want to get it quicker, then you could come into my program. The good thing about my program is that you are part of a trust. So the property and properties that you acquire through our program is held in a trust, which means that you don't lose anything. Your property is yours until the time that it is sold or the trust, the agreement in the trust is satisfied. So your return of investment is always guaranteed through the trust. And that's that. So it's the safest way of doing real estate, actually, of investing in real estate. And with my strategies, on top of it, the highest profit possible. So that's what my real estate strategies do for you and for your stimulus checks of $600. Okay. Now, if you want to start with my program, you don't want to wait for the stimulus check, you want to do that, that's up to you as well. But I'm saying that if you get the stimulus check, do not spend it on anything but real estate. And the smartest thing for you to do is to get the real estate through my program. And I think you're going to like the program details, the profits you're going to make, because I have quite a few different programs for you to implement that in. Okay, and I think you're going to really like the safety, the security of your investment, and overall the return of investment, which is only available through my program in terms of the time, because obviously you can achieve profits in real estate investing over longer periods of time. But in term, I'm not trying to wait longer periods of time. We're doing things for 12 months. We're trying to get you the highest return in the lowest or the what do you call it, the least amount of time possible. All right, so that's going on with with the stimulus check. Do not spend your stimulus check unwisely. Absolutely not. Make sure you use it wisely, sir. Wisely. Okay. Here we have Trump to meet with state attorneys generals after joining Supreme Court election challenge. This is an interesting thing. You guys are not watching the screen. One moment. Yeah, this is an interesting development. A lot of people are not understanding the way the elections are supposed to function. It's obvious that even the state officials in these named states in this suit are also lacking in an education, apparently, of how elections are supposed to be run. And that's sad. I mean, who are you guys voting for in your corner of the world? I mean, they don't even know their own state constitution, which gives them the authority for the state elections, and everything is in line with the authority given by. This is a federal election, and by the Constitution, which all the states have agreed to join to and to be governed by. So these things are important factors. The state cannot, and officials in the state, or a department in the state, or commissions, these are authorities that the state legislature is the one who gives birth and gives them power and authority within the state. You see? So even within your state, it's like your state is a country. So everything that happens in the state is governed and authorized by the state legislature. Or else it can't be. It's illegal. It's not allowed. So the state legislature is the one who has the authority over all matters within the state, because they're the ones who set the agencies and offices, including the governor and all the gubernatorial staffing and the government hierarchies and order. All of that is set in the state legislature by the Constitution of the state, etc., etc. So it makes no sense for anyone, including the courts. All of that is regulated by the state legislature. So the state legislature is the final authority in concerning the law. What is allowed, what is not allowed in the state is the state legislature. And for any commission, any division, any agency, department, what have you, to change rules of a state legislated action or a power, which is an election, without seeking state legislature authority first for it, because you're changing the rules that are governed in the Constitution. Basically what happened here is that a state division or department, the election department, changed the way the elections would be had, and they did not think about the Constitution, the state Constitution. So, of course, what they did was violate their own state constitution. Again, the state constitution, just like the United States Constitution, is the law of the land. See? And they broke the law. It's simply they violated the law in doing that. So, of course, the Supreme Court has to come in now and first determine that in fact the changes were made, that the state constitution states what the law is, and that it is in contradiction to what they actually did for November the 3rd election, and then you have a problem in these states. And then Texas, who brought up this issue of disenfranchisement of all the rest of the states, in their election decision, their election results, which were done correctly according to their state rules, is fighting, is protesting that these states now send what is deemed illegal electors who were not the result of a legal election. And that would disenfranchise the rest of the nation who did have legal elections. So this is a very serious, this is not an issue of is there this or is there that. I mean, was there some illegality or there's no illegality? That's not an issue. Did someone see this or did someone that didn't see that? That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is a clear violation of their respective state constitutions, which makes it illegal in regards to the election. And that's what the Supreme Court is today hearing the rebuttals or the defense, the response, I should say, of each of these states, because they were ordered to do that by 3 p.m. today. So again, the Supreme Court found reason to look into this issue, because if it's allowed, if it is found that the constitutions of each of these states were violated by the actions of their, of the respective electoral departments and authorities, then that becomes an illegal act. That was something that was illegal. Therefore, the results are not legal results. The election, actually, the process, all of it was illegal, was against their own constitution, and therefore invalid. And so the decision of the court today will be very interesting. I don't know if they're going to come out with a decision today or not, but it's going to be interesting because they're the ones hearing the facts. We are not hearing all the details. They're the ones that are going to consider the details in this, but it's a fascinating thing. I think it's a good thing because the government is the first one that has to follow the rule of law. It's not the people's fault. It's not the voters' fault. It's the government that made a mistake here. For what are it doesn't matter what the motives are. That's not the issue. The issue here is not motive. The issue is just simply the result that the act was against their own constitution. Therefore, it is that whole action is an illegal action, and that's that. So there's other commentaries on what's going to happen next, if that is the finding of the Supreme Court or not. It ranges from the electors being recalled for those states. The states have the option, or by their own constitution, again, they have to go by the constitution of their state in terms of what happens when we don't have electors that can be sent because of whatever problems with the election. They all have these clauses, and they have to go by that. In most of the cases, the state legislature, again, the state legislature is the one with the power and authority. So the state legislature would have to assign, they would have to reassign electors. Okay. And if they can't do that, then the states, or they don't, if they run out of time, because the other states are on track. So if they can't do this in time, or simply decide not to do it at all, then what happens is that those electoral votes are missing from the tally. Now, what's going to happen if all of them do that? Neither candidate will have enough electoral votes. So in that case, it goes to Congress. And then the Congress decides. And the Congress, again, is another representation of the states. But in that case, it will go down to the state representation. And again, either way you look at it, I mean, that's the rule of law. That's the rule of the Constitution. So that's it. And, you know, people, yeah, if it goes that way, people really can't complain, because it is, the president will be elected, as always, by the representatives, elected by their votes. Now, the only thing that happens in the electoral process, really, to make it different, is that the electoral voting mechanism, it has a new representation. In other words, the Electoral College is a new, or what we can call an ad hoc representative body. It's not your regular legislatures. It's not your governors. It's not your senators or your representatives in the Congress. It is a new set of representatives elected basically by your votes. That's how it works. So the people come together, they vote, and then that determines, which elector can be chosen to go and cast a vote. And so, and that's what happens there. But and that's just to give the election process a separate representation than the regular representatives that are already voted in. Those are your state legislature and your senators and your representatives that go to Congress. Those are your representatives. They're already voted in. Okay? So all the electoral colleges is just a new set of representatives elected by your votes. And they're charged with going to Washington and casting your vote, the winning vote, the majority vote, casting it over there when they go officially to vote for the President of the United States. So that is what happens. So again, in lieu of having these electors, or having enough electors to actually bring the 277 votes needed, I think it is, right? The 270. Then it goes back to your elected officials who are there already. And their authority to then vote is already set by your previous vote for them, sending them to Congress. In fact, that when you're voting for someone for Congress, you are also voting for their vote in the case that there's a question in a federal election, like there is now, in terms of the validity of the vote, or if there's not enough votes on either side. That's actually what you're doing as well. So you have to understand that when you're voting for your representatives, they are the representatives of the people. And now, if this goes the way it could go that way, it could land in Congress, and the representatives of the people will then cast the vote for the President of the United States. So that's how it's going to work. And that's legal. That is the Constitution. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So that's the only scenario where, and that's the scenario where no one can say anything. Absolutely, because it's still a legal vote. In other words, it's still the voice of the people, which is, it's amazing how you have these different levels to ensure the voice of the people. First, the electoral process in each state, which was given to the state legislature, that the state legislature gave to a commission, election commission, election department, whatever it is, and created a stratosphere, a structure for elections within the state. So that's the first guarantor, first level of election guarantee. And then those results are brought to, they're brought under the authority of the state legislature. But the state legislature gave that authority under the authority of the Constitution, because that is in fact the final authority. That's the law in the state. Now, this is not the final authority in the sense that the state legislature can change it. So if the state legislature is the final authority, because they can change the law, but they have to change the Constitution, which in these cases it is alleged that they did not change the Constitution. They actually did something. Not the state legislature, I don't think, but the election authorities changed a process which required the Constitution to be changed, and that wasn't done. Right. So anyway, so you have the election powers, the election authority, to guarantee the voice of the people. Then you have the state legislature that guarantees the voice of the people through the Constitution. And when there's a problem, the state legislature always has the power, because they're the ones with the original power. So the state legislature then corrects the problem by themselves electing their own electors, separate, canceling the electors from the election authorities, because they have the higher authority. And right now the election authorities failed. They did something wrong. It wasn't supposed to be done. So now the electoral representatives can be voted in or selected by the legislature. And that's all that's left to be done. If they cannot do that, for whatever reason, then the state goes without its votes to Washington. In Washington to vote for the president. If there's not enough to elect the president without these votes, without these electoral college members or any electoral college voice, then the representatives, the Senate and the House of Representatives from that state, duly elected by the people, they will then vote along with all the other Congress members, the full Congress, House of Representatives and the Senate, I believe. I may be mistaken. Let me check that. Because let me check the facts here. Let's see, Congress. Let me see exactly how that. It says Congress could select. Let me just read this. Let's read this together just to get the information straight, because I don't like to say something in my mind. Something's telling me, wait a minute, just check that. So let's check that. Let's go here. And this is from theconversation.com. Congress could select the president in a disputed election. Let's just look for the piece of information. You can come and look at this whole article. It's a great article, and they're showing some history behind the Electoral College and some previously contested elections. So it says here, enter Congress. If neither candidate gets to 270 electors due to disputed ballots, let me increase the size of that. The House would have to decide the election. Okay, so it's the House. Though the House has a Democratic majority, such an outcome would almost certainly benefit Trump, it says. Yeah, I was talking about here. Here's why. In a concession to small states concerned, their voices would be marginalized if the House was called upon to choose the president. The founders gave only one vote to each state. So that's how that works. So that each state only has one vote in that case. See? So that means that this voting procedure gives equal representation to California with a population of 40 million and Wyoming with a population of 600,000. Okay, at this point, this outcome would favor the Republicans. You know, if you're looking at it as a partisan point or perspective, because, you know, if you're looking at it that way, then yeah, oh man, you know, the Republicans are going to then get their guy in the White House. But I don't look at it, and I don't think the founders intended it to be looked at in this fashion. And simply, it is the voice of the people. It is simply the voice of the people. And the people in their majorities, you know, the point is, this is about states. At this point, it's about states. It's always been about states. You have to understand that. This is where people have the problem. It's because you're thinking, well, I have my vote. I have a right to my vote. But your vote actually is within a state. The states are the ones that decided. See, the president isn't. There's some truth when people say that the president isn't my president. See? In this case is where you see that. Excuse me, they meant it facetiously, but this is a case where you begin to see clearly that, in fact, that is right. Because the president is the president of the United States of America. United States, not the United Peoples of the United States of America. You understand there's a difference. So again, yeah, you know, Trump wasn't your president, but none of the presidents were your president. All the presidents are the presidents of the states that are united here in America. Okay? So these are the presidents of the United States. And where your vote is in the state. And that's what you have to understand. Your vote is in the state. Okay? Because your state, notice that your state, all your votes don't go to Washington. Only the electors go to Washington. The electors are selected in the state after your votes are tallied and certified, right? But notice that each state sends the elector to, or the electors that are assigned to it, right? That's why each state has a different number of electors. So they send those electors to Washington. It's not your votes. Your votes do not go to the President of the United States. You're voting for your state to send the elector that you've chosen, an elector that's going to vote for one person or another. That's what you're voting for when you go to your election polling machine. Hopefully it's a good machine. So You're going to go there and you're going to tell your state that I want the elector to vote for this guy or the other guy or the other guy. That's what you're doing in the election process. So people need to understand that. Okay? The state itself is the participant in the federal government. So that you understand that. Right? So it's a state business. This is a state affair. Who's going to be the president over all of our states? Who are we going to submit our state to? And by what do you call it? By association, the people in the state. So that's what you have to realize. The people in the state are joined to the state. And in the process of the election, federal elections, you are joining in the state and you're causing the state to decide based on the votes. The majority of the votes, the way the votes, go and influence within the state, which candidate gets the electoral representative. And that's that. So now again, it's just the right understanding. You have to understand that it's about the state, and that's why at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, the final end it all is that each state is given the same vote and one apiece through the House of Representatives. Each state is given one vote, and that will settle the matter. Okay? That will settle the matter. Now, that is a possibility that will happen. And in any case, my point is that in either case, it is the vote of the people. It still is the vote of the people, because it simply is a state matter. Okay, so again, it doesn't. People should not feel if it goes down that way. My point is that if it goes down that way, people shouldn't feel that the vote was they got shortchanged from the vote. The popular vote. We all voted this way, this and that, blah blah. You guys shouldn't feel that way, because really, it is up to the state to elect the president. It's always been that way. Okay, it's just simply the state gives you, the individuals in the state, you have the freedom, the right, and the state facilitates you to choose who the state is going to choose for president. That's all. That's all it's all about. Right. And again, in each step of the way, through all of the process, it's always the state legislature that authorizes that vote. If why do they certify the vote if not otherwise? So again, although the certification looks like the state legislature is not certifying the election, it could be a change that they should do. But that's up to each state to deal with. But in this case, the states are the ones that decided to become part of the United States. They could have had the people vote for it, opinion polling, whatever. The final analysis is that the members of the United States of America are the states. Those are the recognized members of the United States of America, and those members vote for the president. And so how did they come out with the decision which candidate to vote for? We've already explained. It starts off at the state legislature. They're the ones who made the Constitution in their states, and they're the ones that authorize election officials. And that pattern and that system within each state, which is different, is what the state uses to determine who they're going to send with what vote to Washington to vote for the state, because the state is the entity voting for the president of the United States. So that's what you have to understand. So people, when you're thinking about elections, you're thinking about voting, you have to, the limit of your influence is state. You have to understand it's not the federal, it's state. The state is the one then that carries its decision based on how everyone else voted and takes that to Washington. So that's it. And if that doesn't happen the right way, the number doesn't reach to 270, then still the state, through the House of Representatives, has one vote. And that's that. So depending on who's in the House of Representatives, and the fact is that whatever is the control, if every state just has one, then you got to see that which is, it doesn't matter. It's just that it doesn't matter. It's just that each state has one. So the representatives are also a result of the voting. The point is that they're the result of people voting in the state. So it's still, what is it still and always? It's still the voice of the people. It's still the voice of the people. And in any other type of business, the representatives would be voting. It's as simple as that. You're still the voice of the people. So in reality, we don't really need to have an electoral college, except that electoral college gives the states a little more leverage. See, it gives it more leverage than just one vote for each state. So that's all this is about. But if it boils down to that these states violated, and the states legislatures then cannot repair the damage by selecting their own elector, and if the 270 is not achieved by either candidate, then it will go down to one vote per state, and that will end it. That is part of the electoral process, and that's it. And the voice of the people will still be heard. It's as simple as that. And then you got another 4 years, less, because every 2 years you got the Senate again and the House to vote for. You make your changes. You do the things you need to do. Because really, that's why people who only vote like for the president, you're doing the wrong thing. If this goes down this way, this is going to prove the greatest point of all in all of the election process, and that is that the House and the Senate campaigns are vital, not just for Congress, but also in your state legislature. You really need to pay attention to your local elections. You need to get out there and vote. That's what this story may end up being, the story of getting out and voting, not in the presidential election only, but more so in the interim senatorial and congressional vote campaigns and elections every year. You need to get out and vote. And in your state legislature, that's how important these votes are, because right now it may be that the next president of the United States hangs on the interim elections, which most people don't participate in. You see that? So, people may have a valid argument. Oh, I didn't vote in, there's this guy voting for who? Because you guys don't pay attention. Listen, elections are important, all of them. All of the elections are important. It's not just the presidential election. And now we may have the fortune and a blessing, in fact, of having it proven to us how important the non-presidential elections are. Because the bottom line is that those non-presidential election, what do you call them, campaigns or years, those non-presidential years, they're vital, and they can be pivotal in a case like this, similar case like this. So people don't get out and vote normally because it's not the presidential election. You're doing yourself a disservice, because right now, those who did vote the last 2-3 years and 4 years ago, your vote counts, and your vote is going to count right now in this election. Okay, so that is the importance of voting. So if you take anything out from this little tidbit of news, is that your votes count, and it's not the presidential election vote. It's the votes of the campaigns and the elections in between the presidential elections. Those are your most important votes, okay? Because at the end of the day, it may come down to those votes that determine the presidential election. Okay, let's go on to the next news item. I didn't want to do these news items because I feel that a lot of people are not interested in news, but you guys really should. I think the news is big enough right now that we should pay a little attention to them. Biden asks Congress to grant a waiver for Cool Under Fire defense pick. Yeah, wow. I didn't get that story until now that I'm reading the way this is framed here by the New York Times. Oh my goodness. And this is something that Biden had said himself, right? That he was taking it cool while the building he was in was under attack, and he was just cool and collected. And this makes some people nervous. And I can imagine why, because I don't mean to be a mystic or mystical in my news overview here, but it reeks of Nero, if you understand, Nero and his violin, as Rome burned, because he kept his cool. Also, it elicits that imagery, so that is frightening correlation, which I did not make that connection yesterday when I learned about this pick. But New York Times, hey, they brought it out. Some other people, that connection, and they're unsettled by it. Oh my goodness, that is something else, isn't it? China to sanction U.S. lawmakers, curb some travel for diplomats. China is having a fit because they've been caught with their pants down. It's as simple as that. Those of you that have watched, I'm sorry, I went right out of where we're at. One moment. Hold on. I can't find you. Where are you? Okay. Yeah, so what happened is that I've been talking about China for the longest amount of time. I mean, before anybody else was dealing with China in a negative way, I was talking about China for quite some time. Having traveled South America to some degree, and noticed as a businessman, I started noticing the business segment, and I noticed what the Chinese were doing. And I got some information, from my own circles. So I started reporting on this quite some time ago. And that was all. I forget who the president was at the time. I think it was one of the Bushes or something like that. Could have been Clinton era. I'll have to look back at that. But in any case, I started reporting on this, on the encroachment of China and the plans, their apparent strategy in South America and what they potentially were trying to do. So people know I've been talking about this if you've been following me for a long period of time. So in any case, here we have China right in our underwear, and some of our representatives' underwear, quite literally. Okay, this is a very dismal situation. So again, if you're looking at it, if you're looking at this fairly, I mean, you got a foreign country who's competing against the United States, and they're actively spying by compromising our officials, elected officials in some cases here, if not many cases. We still have to uncover. But can you imagine this going on and when a lot of our representatives on the Hill? Come on now. Come on, people. You better look at your house. You have to look at your house, because a lot of this is in the background of what's going on, what your representatives are talking and pushing out there. I know a lot of us are going, hoorah, hoorah, yeah, but you're not thinking and realizing who's behind this really. I think that's what you have to start asking questions. Who is behind this? Who does this benefit? Okay? Because right now you're getting news about the Chinese and what they're doing to subvert our politicians, to compromise our politicians. And the United States citizens need to make sure something is done. So you better start writing your officials, your elected officials, and make sure that something gets done. Leave no stone unturned, because we cannot have the enemy in our government. And this is practically what's going on. And if you've seen the video, there's a video going around showing a Chinese official or businessman, I don't know what it was, but he was saying that they have people in high places in the U.S. government. So what is happening? And now, I mean, I have to apply the brush. All these 4 years of anti-Trump and anti-Republican, what is going on really? What's the real story here? What is it that they're hiding? Who's hiding what? Okay? You guys need to find out. This is appalling. And I don't care what you call yourself, Democrat, Republican, or whatever. You think you're an American patriot. What is this all about? What is this? Is your policy facilitating this Chinese encroachment in our government and in our politics? You think that's right? That's okay? There's nothing here to worry about? Again, think about it. Here we go with the U.S. officials facing violent threats. Those who are going, questioning the election. Now we have even YouTube and Google or whatever else, other social media platforms also censoring people's right to free speech. And I've talked about this before. If you hold yourself out as the public square, then that's what you are. I've always said that the Congress has to step into the public square to defend the people's rights. And as far as they have allowed these companies to produce virtual public squares, we carry our rights. We did not leave our rights at the door. And we never signed away our rights as American citizens to free speech and to those rights and privileges that we enjoy as Americans and we take for granted, frankly, but they're not to be abused. And we feel that we have been abused. And people need to get up and do something. Now the government is having hearings, antitrust suit against Facebook, and that's just the beginning. But I've always suggested, and I'll say it again, that Facebook and other social platforms are today's public square. And the government needs to take and ensure that these public squares have the protections granted to us as American citizens. They need to do that. So it's if a company wants to come and purchase the public square, or in other words, create a public square, they have to realize, they're the ones that have to realize that you are to protect the rights of the Americans that you're inviting into this public square, because they have a presumption that they have rights, and those presumptions we're going to defend, because you're not stating this is not your public square. Don't come here to have freedom of speech. So make it clear so people can understand, but don't draw us in and then start censoring us. Okay? That is unfair. And then you're selling our data, then you're making money off of us. Forget that. And everybody really, if the social platform you're on doesn't afford you your rights as an American citizen, you should get off. It's just simple. We should just abandon it. We'll wait till they close us down. Close it. That's fine, because basically I'm an American and I don't want to be any place where my American values or my American rights are restricted. I'm an American, damn you! And this Congress better get up and do something for its citizenry. I don't care what it is, a government, foreign, or a business, domestic or foreign, that limits our rights. This government has to do something about it. It is unconscionable that this government allow the creation and the allurement of private spaces. I shouldn't say private, because it never said it was private. It has public. It's public places where people discourse with each other, and then we are censored. If you're enticing or alluring the public people, the folks of the United States of America, then you need to afford us our liberties. And if that doesn't sit well with you, then do not open your platform to the American population. We can create our own. Thank you. And you, as an American citizen, should not sit around and allow these things to happen. So that's it. It's just the beginning of the end. If Facebook, if you don't learn from this, because Facebook shut down one of my first account. You can't even complain or protest it. See that? And I knew this day was coming. I knew it because it's so unfair how these platforms treat the creators on it. It's not like I'm working for them. They're making money. Not necessarily from me, but they're making money by just my presence there, right? I'm another number. I'm one of the number of the millions on here that advertisers can advertise to, right? So I'm doing something, but I'm stripped from my American values, and I'm stripped of my American rights, my rights as a United States citizen. Outrageous. Simply outrageous. So yeah, I've always said that these platforms need to get restricted and get oversight, because we have people who are coming on this platform and they are assuming that they have rights, and they don't. Simple as that. So, in my opinion, all of you are listening right now to your standard and most popular platforms should have a different way, and they start developing another way to start communicating with your friends and family and get away from all that gobbledygook. Creators who have certain niches, business interests, or some group interest, you guys should look at interestnexus.com. That's my platform. Never get you shut down, and it actually helps you promote what you're doing. Okay? interestnexus.com. I just need some people to go in there, sign up, and get it going. It's as simple as that. You guys keep supporting these platforms, and what? What are they doing for you? They're just using you. And if they don't like something, they shut you down. They close you down. You waste your time, your life, and whatever. Okay? So just simple as that. You know what? Just start now. Go to interestnexus.com. There's some other, for your social stuff, you go to Parler and MeWe, and I think there's another one out there. Just go there, tell your friend, listen, you can find me here, you can find me there, and just move on over. Just do that, and let's end this silliness. Either we get our free rights, our rights as an American citizen, where we are discoursing online, or we go elsewhere, and that's it. And Americans need to get up and stand by their two testicles, if you have them, or otherwise your two mammary glands, if you have those, and defend your rights by taking action. Okay. And that's it for our news for this morning. All right. So what we're going to have for the rest of the day is our real estate informational programming, and we'll get to that after I'm going to stop the stream and restart it again. Take care. Thanks for watching. It'll have the same name, but just tune in.